Hello and welcome back to the Retail Podcast. Now, Molly Robbins, who you'll meet in a few seconds, I had the pleasure of meeting her at a grocery shop, right?
Yeah.
Forget the right conference. I had the fortune of meeting Molly, and I was really fascinated with her story. And I asked Molly to come on to the show to share her story, warts and all. I think, having a open, honest conversation about being a female founder, starting your business and taking on the world of CPG. But Molly, why don't you, in your words, tell us, obviously you're the founder and owner of Molly Markets. You're based in Canada, but I'd love for you to sort of tell us a little bit about who you are and how you arrived at Molly Market. Molly's Market.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Alex. It was so great meeting you in Vegas. It was a fun and exciting conference, and I definitely learned a lot and love getting the chance to go to grocery shop every year. So it's really exciting to meet you because I think oftentimes like I'm working so hard in my office or with my team or behind the scenes, and there's not a lot of opportunity to kind of be out there and share my story and how I got started and all that. So I own one retail location just north of Toronto. We sell gluten-free and vegan baked goods along with other brands, other CPG brands that are mostly local to Canada, but some from the US and overseas as well. So anything that kind of fills the gaps within gluten-free and vegan that isn't a baked good, we bring onto our shelves for our customers to enjoy as well. And this really came out of a dire need for myself being like a huge foodie and loving baking and loving cooking and all of that. I was really sick in university and I found out I was living in a moldy apartment and started sort of researching why I was feeling that way, who could I work with to figure out getting kind of turned away by the traditional medical system, and realized that I had a soy allergy and totally changed my diet from there. So after graduating university, I also developed chronic hives. My body was just kind of really sick and tired of all the stuff it was being thrown at. And shortly after that, I enrolled in school for holistic nutrition and started working as a buyer at a local kind of contemporary convenience store that focused on healthy items as well. Yeah, that's kind of what the road that led me to wanting to start my own business.
How was it like if we take yourself back and you're going through that journey? At what point of that did you think, you know what, the solution to my medical treatment is to open up my own business? What are you just that way inclined? Is that your character?
I think that might be my character, but I felt really frustrated when I would like drive all around to different grocery stores. I would cross the border into the US and go to Whole Foods. Like I was obsessed with finding things that had really simple ingredients that I actually could understand, because when I found out I couldn't eat soy, I thought I can't eat soy sauce, like big deal. And then I realized soybean oil was such a big additive in so many foods, no matter what cuisine. So when I started realizing what was in the like so-called food I was eating, I just got so grossed out and thought there has to be like some way to not make my entire diet like apples and carrot sticks and still have like cookies and brownies and pasta and like such delicious food, because food is so emotional. And when people gather, whether it's for like a barbecue or a dinner party or a birthday, the person that's kind of sitting out in the corner having that like sad salad, as I call it, I always like just hated being that person. And then I hated seeing people feel that way as well. So I figured, I don't know, a little bit of like, I guess, pandemic delusion, being at home for too long. I just thought like it made sense, and there was no one to tell me no because I hadn't seen that many people in a long time. So I just thought, let's go for it. And the store actually was meant to be just kind of like a small retail outlet for other CPG brands. And as we kind of needed something to do to fill our time, as it was slow to started playing around in the kitchen. And what was supposed to be like one batch of muffins a day became an entire bakery and wholesale business as well. So our products are now in about 40 stores in the GTA, Greater Toronto area, and just growing. So yeah, it's been really exciting.
Your customers, what type of customers do you have? Are they pure? Do they suffer from the same things that you've suffered, and so they heard your story? Tell me about your customers.
Yeah, I mean, my customers are all amazing. They just really I find like believe in myself, in the product, whether they know me or not, whether they're a customer of our storefront or purchase our products at our partner retailers. I find when we started, it leaned a lot more heavily towards like celiac customers or customers with dairy intolerances or just different food restrictions, because it was like a place where they felt safe. But I think it's really turned into people want generally like things that are better for them, but no one is willing to give up taste. So we were able to really like with all of our recipes ensure that everything was delicious, had great ingredients, and was really genuinely better for you. I think where my frustration lay like in the grocery store aisles was finding a lot of things that were either gluten-free or dairy-free, or they were gluten-free but they had soy or some like thing I didn't understand. And I thought like, how hard can it be? It was a little bit harder than I thought, but how hard can it be to create something that really appeals to a lot of people, whether they have a dietary restriction, an allergy, or they just want to feel like they're eating something nutritious, but they're still hitting that like that craving of a brownie. They don't need to eat our stuff and then go eat a real brownie later. Like they get that action at the same time. So another one of our main kind of core principles was when we started out, I had made a taco chunk cookie recipe adapted from different recipes I had found on the internet, and I would make so much of it at a time, and my mom would put it in the freezer and say, okay, like we'll have it later, and she would eat them straight out of the freezer. They would be like super chewy because of the coconut oil we use in them and the almond butter, and it just made sense to me like to go to a bakery. You go every once in a while, you get a box of donuts or whatever it is, and you feel like it's a race to the finish line to finish it. I'm the type of person who wants a sweet treat like I'm not even gonna say night, like at multiple points during the day. So to be able to have like that little nibble in the freezer. So all of our products are refrigerated and frozen, and this allows us to have like absolutely no waste. Any sort of imperfections are created into samples for our in-store customers or at our retail partner demos. But it allows people to like have this moment of like indulgence at any point of their day, any day of the week, wherever they really are, and not be limited to just the excursions that they can have once in a while.
My brain is racing in terms of which track do I, because I've got two sets of questions. I want to ask more about at what point did, when you set up Molly's Market, were you focused on becoming a bakery or a retailer or a CPG brand, or, what was driving that? And then there's the part of me that wants to unpack like the ingredients and is it healthier for you and what does look like. Which one do you want to, I'll give you the choice. Do you want to focus on the story about the how and why and your hurdles of overcoming? Because you're not on social media, right? Or you are, but there's not a lot of you on TikTok or something.
No, we don't have TikTok. I just hired someone to help me with that. So they're starting in a couple weeks, but I'm one of those people who is really shy behind camera, but can meet a new person in real life and like hit it off instantly. So it's interesting. I had heard, I love the podcast How I Built This, and I had listened to the story about Tate's Bake Shop, and I remember Kathleen King saying,
before you started your own business?
so it's actually like well into it. I just
Got you.
listened to it. I think I was like on the way to Expo West or something, and I was driving and I needed something to listen to. But she said because her business was quite seasonal, she was based in the Hamptons. When she went into Manhattan after every summer, she would go into all the really high-end grocery stores and walk in with her cookies. And some would say like, my mom makes better cookies, or like, these are whatever, like kind of like, and then some people would be like, these are the best things I've ever had. And she said, I was so confident in my cookies, more so than myself, that like I knew they were wrong. If they didn't like them, I knew they were wrong. And I like 100% feel that way. I'm so confident in our products and our offering, and I think we've really mastered what we put into our ingredients and how they taste and how we kind of show up to our customers. And then sometimes there's not enough time for me, but I'm trying to work on a balance as well. But to answer your first question about was this supposed to be a CPG brand versus retail, like this was absolutely supposed to just be like a small retail store in my hometown with me behind the cash desk every single day, probably for the rest of my life. And it's been a while since I've been behind there. It's my favorite thing to do, but there are a lot of obviously things that need to be done to grow the business and to manage my incredible team, which has been growing a lot recently.
And is it, sorry, a bakery, a coffee shop, a grocery? What type of store is it?
I would kind of like mix them all together. We're mostly like,
Hangout space.
pardon?
A hangout space. So you can have a coffee there?
No, you're not allowed to stay inside. We don't have seating inside. We have a big backyard with lots of picnic tables. We have some seats on our front porch. Have coffee to go. But the way that we sell our baked goods typically is in larger packs for enjoying at home. And we don't sell like produce or meat or things like that, but more our own baked goods. And then we have like a few freezers full of our own stuff. And we have great brands like Jovial Pasta, lots of like chip brands like Siete, and other local brands that kind of fill the gap in terms of someone's like gluten-free or just more like mindful diet of just trying to eat real food and make sure that it tastes good.
Do you only just make muffins? As like, well, what's the range? What's the range of products that you do?
Yeah, so in our store we make about 60 different baked goods on rotation based on some seasonal flavors as well. And then in with our wholesale partners, we did used to offer like a larger format, like we do in the store, of packs of like 4 or 6 of our brownies and cookies. But we found that people really wanted an option of a single serve item. So we launched our single serve baked goods in, I believe, February of this year, to have that option for smaller grocery stores, cafes, juice shops, offices, to be able to have that snack and have it also be allergen friendly. And but when you go into a coffee shop and something says gluten friendly or like made in the same kitchen that other things have been made in, we want to just ensure that that person feels safe eating it. So I have the products tested for gluten as well. But we have 6 SKUs in wholesale. So we have our chocolate chunk cookie, which is our best seller, our breakfast cookie, which does really well in cafes because it's a great morning treat. And then our double chocolate cookie with, we use Vancouver sea salt on top. So that's really good if you like salt. And then we have our brownie that's made with cashew butter. It's really good. It's really fudgy. I love warming it up and putting vanilla ice cream on it. And then our Mojo bar, which is like a mix between a Twix and a Nanaimo bar. We actually launched it as a Twix bar. And then my sister, who's a lawyer, called me the day we launched into our biggest retailer, which was our first retailer. And it was like, you definitely can't call that Twix in like public. Like you could do it in your store, but you can't do it out there. So
What is it called now?
it's called a Mojo bar.
A Mojo.
Yeah. Mojo kind of like translates to magic. And then our last SKU is our peanut butter cups. So they come in like a pack of 2. It's like 2 mini peanut butter cups. So you can share with someone or you can have them all to yourself. But yeah, we wanted to provide like enough selection that people weren't kind of getting bored of the same thing, but not too many products that it kind of got lost and there was just like a million options to choose from our range. Hopefully in the next year or so, we'll add some more items or some limited edition seasonal specials for our retail partners as well. But just trying to kind of get going and build some strong retail relationships.
And so are you looking for expansion into the US or you prefer to expand within Canada? I mean, to be fair, I guess the US still Canada in terms of the expansion is a different market, right?
Yeah, it's a really different market. The US is so massive. I think a lot of brands do focus on the US if they're able to scale at the, I guess, rate and size. Maybe they work with a co-packer or they have investment backing or something like that. But the US is such a big market and there's so much competition, especially in markets like California and New York. So while I'd love to be in the US and we get asked quite a bit, I really want to focus on our local area within like a few hours of us. I think we have done, a decent job of trying to be in every little pocket so far, but we really want to go deep, like especially within the Toronto community. It's such a local, like all the shops are just so into supporting local, and it feels like you have like all these friends around you. Like when I look on my shelves at the store, instead of seeing like, for example, Lake and Oak Tea, which is a tea brand from Hamilton, which is about an hour away from us, I see the founder Meredith's face kind of thing. So I want that to be how other CPG founders and how consumers see our product as well. Like really knowing who the person is or the people are behind things and maintaining quality. So we've totally like self-funded the business and kind of used our retail shop to fund our CPG brand because it's expensive. It's a
Yeah.
lot to get things going, to do demos and all that. And at the end of the day, I think there are so many products out there that kind of fill a gap, but the taste is second, and we really want the taste to be first. So by manufacturing in-house, we've been able to keep consistency with the taste and the quality of ingredients by working with like our local suppliers, and I get a little bit scared of scaling too big because I don't want anyone to taste it and be like, it used to be better last year, or they used it, or they added this preservative to be on the shelf. So we'll always be in the fridge or freezer. I'm pretty big stickler about that.
Okay. And then is there an ecom part of your business? Do you ship to people?
There's not really right now. Like it's almost like it's a secret that you can buy stuff from us online.
Yeah.
We're in the process with working with an incredible website developer that we just met a couple months ago, and her and her team are just kind of in the middle of updating our website and doing like a full refresh so that it's not right now it's like hard to shop on our website. Like I feel bad for customers because their cart will just like empty randomly. So we should have our ecom ready for the end of November.
I
And
think people can buy online.
they like can buy online, but it's like challenging. It's
Okay.
I built the website myself like in
Okay.
20.
Fair enough.
I don't know. I'm not, although we met at a tech conference, I'm not a tech person.
Yeah, no worries. That's cool.
Yeah, so e-com is like a huge part of our goals for 2025, and that will be like our focus is expanding our wholesale reach, really like getting our e-commerce going for the first time. And then I always say I'll never open another store, but we've been looking a little bit at new locations to be a little bit closer to the hustle and bustle of Toronto. So we'll see.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I guess this is where all founders you get pulled in so many different directions, right? Which one gets the majority of your focus? And I think that's a trick. Okay, as we come into sort of the final part of the show, if there is one thing you could have done differently, or if you could go back to a younger version of you and give that younger version, I mean, Jesus, you're young anyway, but it's like a younger version of you and give yourself some friendly advice, what would that be?
Ooh, that's so tough. I definitely am still working on my like work-life balance, and
Yeah.
especially like owning like a very holistic business where I'm always preaching to people like about balance and about, nourishing your body and things like that. There's definitely times where I like look up from the computer and it's 11 o'clock at night and I have to be in the store at 7 in the morning to send out deliveries. So I definitely think give yourself a little bit of grace. And I guess rather than something I'd forgive myself for, I think I've become a lot better of a people manager than I used to be. I used to have that, like, as we've talked about before, like imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
feeling like I guess everything that anyone was doing for me in any capacity of the business was kind of like volunteer, and I like owed them like my heart and soul in exchange for their help.
Yeah.
I think like really having clearly defined roles with everyone that you work with, whether it's like an external bookkeeper or accountant or your team or with retail partners, just having like boundaries and having things really clear is great. But at the same time, I guess something that I think has been really amazing for me is rather than looking at someone as like their job title, as just looking at them as just another person. And I think it makes it so much easier to connect with people. And I've created some of my closest friendships through people that I've worked with on the retail side, with the grocery stores and cafes that we're in, that are now like some of the closest people in my life. But when you look at their title on, say, LinkedIn or something, you're like, I could never even call them. So
Yeah.
just kind of breaking down those walls and really asking for help. I've found a lot of great like informal mentors in the industry, especially in CPG, that I'll call and ask like, hey, what do you think of this design? And when we were launching our new single serve packaging, I was going to put a window on it. And one of my friends who owns a very successful pancake mix company was like, there's going to be chocolate smudge all over that window. It's going to look so bad and no one's going to buy it. And literally in 15 seconds of him telling me that, he's like, go get nice photos taken of it and put just like a nice photo on the front. And
Yeah.
of course, my sister's a professional photographer, so we got to work the next day and submitted our packaging shortly after. And it's definitely one of the things that we're most complimented on. So I think like taking people's advice and allowing people in rather than trying to do everything yourself. I still obviously need to work on that too, but people are there to help and people are experts in things that you're not. So accept the help because people are going to stop offering after a while if you keep saying,
I think you don't need it, right? So they don't want to bother you. So it makes sense. Yeah. Listen, I think I fundamentally believe that there's a need for your product in every country that I've been to because there are so many people that are unserved. Because I always think, and I have it in my own family, you may be gluten intolerant, but then when you're dairy intolerant, it sort of really narrows down what you can have. And as you said, people say, oh, it's friendly to gluten. It may have dairy. And I've actually seen the consequences. So you talked about your consequences about hives, but there's loads of unfortunate, it's uncomfortable for people when they eat the wrong thing. And in the UK, we've had some really horror stories of, unfortunate fatalities from nut allergies or things that have contaminated food. So I do think it's something that will continue to grow. So I expect to see you in somewhere in a Target or Walmart in a couple of years.
Yeah. Never say never. I think that the most important thing is exactly what you said, like being able to kind of meet people where they are and have that option for people because there is someone in every family or in every friend group that does need this type of thing for whatever reason they may be. It doesn't matter really. But I think so many more people need it than people realize, and having that option really goes a long way. And I think I've seen that firsthand where customers will come in and say, oh, I bought this pack of brownies because my so-and-so is gluten-free. And they were just so happy and just felt so much more comfortable at my house and felt like they put their bag of snacks they brought with them, they put away and just enjoyed what we had to offer them. So I think that sense of belonging and emotional piece to it is really what it kind of comes down to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Molly, thank you so much for carving some time out in your busy day and being with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.